just watch and allow things to go on the way they were going on. We have to seize the moment and move ahead. And this is what I see President Mahama doing. Trying to even move his colleague African leaders along the same line. This call he's making for Africa to, it's not just making a call that Africa should just be inclusive. It's for Africa to know that Africa must see itself as a partner. Africa shouldn't come to the table either as an observer or as a beggar of crumbs. You must go to the table with your own program. You must go to the table with your own agenda, with your own plan, anchored on what you have. Africa has the resources. The Saharan countries have shown it to us. You have the resources. Why should you allow other people to come and dictate to you how they will exploit it and give you crumbs? No. But this has been the attitude of Africa, that they go to the table either as observers or as, receivers of the crumbs that will fall off the table. No, you must go to the table as an equal partner who comes with your own plan and agenda as to how you want to see things go for yourself. So I believe that this call is very, right at this time, that we must see ourselves very clearly in the current global, the global world, the way the world is going, you see, and form strategic alliances among ourselves for our general good. In the past, we tend to focus all our efforts towards pleasing the Western countries, Western interests, whereas our own interests are not even on the table, and we have accepted it. We have come to a point where, and it is also very important that the current younger generation has this realization very, very aptly registered, that Africa should no longer approach things from the observer point of view of the going for aid and everything, to begging and pleasing the West in the hope that when we please them and do what they want us to do and do what they say, we will be beneficiaries of no. That era has passed. We must assert ourselves. And when we dare to assert ourselves, like the Saharan countries dared to assert themselves, then they realize that yes, we have to take these people serious. In the past, leaders who tried to assert themselves, what did they do? They took them out. But now, it must come as a collective realization, where if everybody is thinking like that, then who do you take out? If you take one person out, everybody else too is coming. You see, so it is this call and this constant clamor and this constant effort to get Africa to have that realization that we must change things and approach things differently. This is what I really appreciate, because when that happens, the West will be forced to sit down and say, look here, let us come to terms with these people. We can't expect them to, today that Gaddafi is gone, Africans are appreciating the good works that Gaddafi did. After Nkrumah is gone, Ghanaians are appreciating the good work Nkrumah did. But when all these leaders were being taken out by Western interests, we the people were made to appreciate that, or made to feel that the right thing has been done. It is history that has proved to us that we were wrong, and that we were misled to believe, and that those people actually fought for our interests. You see, so I am very happy that the president is making this call and the success that he's attaining. And I just hope, he made a call about ethical governance of artificial intelligence, and that is where there is the world challenge. And I'm happy he has put his voice in, because one of the problems the world has had is that Africa has always stood on the position of ethics and good morals, whereas the West has put morals and everything virtually down the drain. You see, well, Donald Trump has tried to reverse some of it, but That has been a general trend, and I'm happy that an African leader is beginning to sound that caution very on the international stage. Now we can't just allow artificial intelligence to just go, just be escalating without reference to or consideration for ethics and moral considerations. So I would want to commend him for what he's doing.
Mr. Pratt.
Well, I've just finished reading the speech that His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama delivered in Dubai. And I must confess that I find the speech to be an excellent speech. Indeed, this speech can find its roots in the speech which President John Dramani Mahama delivered at the UN General Assembly. And the trend continues in the speech which he also delivered in Davos. Now, what is he doing? Essentially what he's doing is that he's trying to find out where the world is. Where is our world today? What are the challenges facing our world? And how may Africa be placed within this context for the improvement of the conditions of the African people? This is essentially what he's done with that speech. And he's done a brilliant job, you understand? Very brilliant job. Of course, everybody knows where the world is today. We are living in a world which is no longer governed by law and rules. We are living in a world which basically is a jungle for wild beasts. Everybody does what he pleases. There are no rules, no laws. You can go to another country and kidnap the president. You can seize the resources of another country. You can actually warn another country that if it doesn't follow your prescriptions for international trade, you strangulate it. You understand? As we speak, the whole of the eastern part of Cuba is in total darkness because the US is blocking all oil supplies to Cuba. It wants to strangulate it. This is the international order we find ourselves with. As we speak, the US is threatening to drop bombs on Iran because Iran would not do President Trump's bidding and so on. As we speak, a democratically elected president in Venezuela has been kidnapped and locked up in New York. As we speak, Trump has not abandoned his idea of colonizing Canada, of taking over Canada and adding it to the US to become the 52nd state of the United States of America. As we speak, his idea of buying Greenland has not been abandoned. We are living in a world which is in a very chaotic stage. Only 3 days ago, we learned about the assassination of President Gaddafi's son, who was believed to be the rising star in Libya, who was believed had the capacity to reunite Libya and to stop the chaos which was going on in Libya. He was assassinated by 4 masked gunmen and so on. So it continues. This is a world in turmoil. This is a world in which there are no rules, no laws, nothing. Everybody does what they want to do. 2 weeks ago, we were told of the story in which 2 African countries, allegedly, in cooperation with France, were preparing to stage a coup d'etat in Burkina Faso. Only 2 weeks ago. You understand? So this is the world in which we are. And President Mahama is looking at this world and saying, no, things cannot go on like this. Because if we continue like this, we will destroy the world. And you see, it is even more frightening if you consider the fact that yesterday, the treaty between the United States of America and Russia, which limits their possession of nuclear weapons expired. So as it is today, there's no legal restraint on any country for manufacturing, for storing, and for using nuclear weapons. Now, if you listen to the analysis which was made on the international media yesterday and so on, between the United States of America and Russia, they can destroy this world many times over. My brother, one destruction is the end of the world. Can you imagine 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 destructions of the same world? But that is where we are. And that is why President Mahama is saying that, look, let's get back to the drawing board and let us work out an arrangement which restores sanity in international relations. There must be some sanity in international relations. What one can do and what one cannot do must be something that all of us agree on. There must be standards that we pursue. Now, he also raised another issue which is very important, and it relates to the fact that Africa is completely marginalized. Now, can there be any justification for the marginalization of Africa? This is a continent of 1.4 billion people. Africa is a continent of 1.4 billion people. And yet, when you go to the United Nations, Africa has no voice. Our heads of states are allowed to go and make speeches every September in the General Assembly. They have no consequence. The vote in the General Assembly does not decide anything. The vote that matters in the UN is on the Security Council. Can anybody explain to me why a country like even the United States has a veto power and Africa does not have a veto power? Can somebody explain to me? 1.4 billion people have no say. Can somebody explain to me why Britain has a veto power in the UN Security Council? Compare Britain to Africa. You understand? So, President Mahama wants a reset of this world order, and it is proper. That is what we ought to do. Now, this immediately raises the question of how did we get here? We got here because in 1945, when the UN was being structured and these structures were being built and so on, we were not there. We were colonies, and colonies were not invited to the table. In fact, if you go back to 1884, when Europe decided to partition Africa into states and so on, we were not even at the table in the meeting in Berlin and so on. So things have been decided which did not involve us, and it is time for us to insist on being at the table or to abandon the table altogether and do our own thing. Okay. Now, beyond the fact that Africa is populated by 1.4 billion people, and that should give us some gravitas, so Africa happens also to be the richest continent in the world. Show me what mineral resource we don't have in Africa. We have everything. Even snow, we have some. Yes. If you go to South Africa, sometimes it snows and so on. So even snow, we have some. So Africa has everything. Gold, diamond, uranium, lithium, iron, manganese, bauxite, everything. Okay? So the future of the world, the present and future of the world depends on Africa. And yet we are marginalized. If you come to agriculture, Africa has 2/3 of the total arable lands in the world. We have 2/3 of the total arable lands in the world. How can we be marginalized? You understand? How can we be marginalized? So this is the call that President Mahama is making. He's calling for a reset of the world which will enable the African people, one, to own their resources or our resources, and to exploit these resources for the benefit of ourselves. He wants us to build a new world in which what we do with ourselves, the system of government we have, and how we operate that system of governance will be decided by us. He wants us to build a new world in which the United States of America would not make the rules about how we can exploit our resources and how we may not exploit our resources. I've read the Cheney report. And the Cheney report came out in 2001. It was authored by Dick Cheney, former Foreign Minister of the United States of America, Secretary of State, and so on. You know, he chaired a commission which was set up by the Bush administration to look into America's energy needs going forward. In the Cheney report of 2001, the recommendation is that, look, if you go to the Middle East as well, the place is too volatile. So American energy interests cannot be secured there. And that West Africa has a lot of energy resources. So the US should focus its attention on West Africa. And that if need be, it should use force to control our oil resources, our energy resources. And we are sitting down looking at them. They've gone to Venezuela and misbehaved there. They can come here and continue to misbehave. And we are watching them. So look, increasingly, President Mahama is becoming a very significant, notable international figure, speaking for Africa. And it is not surprising that the whole of the African Union decided that he should be the champion for reparations. You understand? It's also not surprising that as we sit here, it is clear that next year he's going to be the chairperson of the AU. He's been nominated by all the heads of states in West Africa. And I don't see how that is going to change. So he's going to end up as the chairman of the AU. And I'm exceedingly happy that he's using his influence and position in order to advance the African cause. And to insist that Africa in this divided state cannot protect its interests. And that we need to unite, advocating Pan-Africanism, you know, as advocated by Du Bois, by Marconi, by Kwame Nkrumah, and others. This is the way forward for Africa. And I'm so proud, you know, I'm so very proud that President Mahama is towing this line.
Alright, so that should do for African story. We'll go straight into our political arena. Let's start off in the camp of the New Patriotic Party. Over the weekend, they went into their primaries, their flag bearership primaries, and the former Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, was elected as the flag bearer for the NPP for the 2028 elections and beyond. So, post-primary, there's been talk about, you know, further cracks showing its ugly head in the NPP. Others talk about the coup. Also mentioning the fact that there's been talk about Afenyo marking and the likes also moving, you know, being stepped aside because of their alleged involvement with other candidates, so to speak. Mr. Lange, I want to start off with you. I don't want to say what I intended to say, but we know your past relationships with the NPP. I believe you observed from afar. First of all, what are your immediate, you know, indications on whatever processes they had to go through?
Well, thank you very much. As you know, yes.
MPP, I used to be deep down in there. And as I said, I think even last week, that my tip was the president, my former Vice President Bawumia was going to win, and he won. And I congratulate him on having won, you know. And the whole process went smooth, thankfully. And I've seen many of the aspirants congratulate the winner publicly and all that. I've seen the winner, Dr. Bawumia, go and visit the immediate past president President Akufo-Addo, and I see in the Daily Guide, this is the Daily Guide, I saw it. Oh, I saw a headline in, I think one of the...
This one?
Is this one? No. Supreme, I think. Okay, that's this one. No, not this one. Okay, one of the papers says, Nanado backs Bawumia after winning. That is a headline.
Okay, yeah.
So, if Nanado backs Bawumia after winning, then that's also good for Bawumia, because there was rumors that was not the case before. And so the optics all look very nice. Any political party should expect that. Any political party going into, primaries for a flag bearer, yes, there'll be internal issues. The process must go well. In their case, it has gone well. At the end of the process, the contestants have demonstrated, solidarity. It's gone well. So they've ticked all the boxes. That's fine. But we've seen that before. We've seen that before. I remember once when there was a heated contest between, in internal primaries between my brother, senior brother Alan Chemating and Nanado, and Nanado won. Having worked virtually how many hours without sleep. One of the first things he said, oh, let's go and congratulate. So I went to Nanado's house to congratulate him. It was excellent, wonderful. Said very nice things. In fact, Nanado said some very nice things about me to the extent that now I was being looked at differently. Hey, is this man that close to Nanado? Anyway, so all these things can be said and done to give a very nice impression. So that one is expected of every political party going through this process, which every political party must go through. NDC will go through theirs as well. And this is what we expect to see. There will be a decent contest at the end of which everybody will come together. But that is just one part of the story. What is most important is what happens afterwards. Because like I said, we've seen it before. And the challenge now is for the emerging leader, Dr. Bawumia, to maintain that harmony. The way things went in the run-up to the elections was so terrible. I don't see the party being able to heal in the immediate future. I don't see it happening. We are talking about some of the challenges going on right now.
Yeah.
I mean, how many hours after the process, there's talk of coup. Oh, so it tells you that all that appeared may not be what it is. And when that happens, how much confidence does the party give to its support, not to even its supporters, to the Ghanaians who are going to decide who becomes the next president? So, yes, like I'm saying, the process has gone well. It's gone nice. They've ticked all the boxes. It's been fine. There are three processes. One is getting your flag bearer. That's number one. Two, the flag bearer having a successful campaign. The third one is becoming president of Ghana. The first bridge has been crossed. The next one is for the flag bearer to show that he's been successful. Successful to show how you work with everybody else and how the campaign will encounter coup. Master, it's not going to be good. And this applies to every political party. Every. So, all I will say is that, well, me like the rest of Ghanaians are watching how it's going. And the onus is on them. You don't do things just for doing its sake. You do it because you want to be successful in the end. So if they are doing things, they should look at success as the ultimate objective. Otherwise, I mean, soon after, look at the way, I mean, Elections is not easy. I've been for elections before. It is not easy. When you are not successful, when you have to be managed. Yet immediately afterwards, look at how some people were talking about my good friend Kennedy Ejapon. Robbing it in. No way. The party should immediately have set up and say, hey, stop that. Nah, they've allowed it. Robbing the people. Oh, no. How would you expect somebody like that to go and stand on the platform and out of his heart campaign for the party, even if he wants to? It is not good. So all I'll say is that, look, what is happening now appears to be no different from what has been happening in the past. And does not make any encouragement for a lot of people to want to identify. People have walked away from the party. And I'm telling you, United Party, there are a lot of people in United Party who maintain their alliance with the New Patriotic Party. Especially as Prime Minister coming up. Because there's cuckoo season out there. Some people want to get their share. They're going to get it now. People are, I mean, this is the reality of politics. So if you don't make yourself attractive, I mean, it's not going to help. You know? And Ghanaians are watching. The country is moving ahead. The reality, look at the governance of President Mahama. My interest is to ensure that, look, man, if you say you are coming, Ghanaians will see that you are going to be able to do better. You are going to be able to promise something better. That's what's going to be judged, not based on how, you know. So, yes, MPP has gone through its primaries. It's gone well. It's been successful. So many questions coming up. People who went to look for their names, they didn't see their names. At the end of the day, the whole system was quiet and everybody has accepted the result and moved on. In spite of all the challenges, that's okay. You know, but the onus is now on them to see how they'll move on from there.
Alaji, I believe you observed from afar happenings over the weekend, once, you know, to oust him as the minority leader. And even in fact, if you had listened to Bawumia when he made his victory statement, when it was confirmed, he made a statement that others are also relating to, that he was not going to forget some of the minority caucus who helped him out during, you know, the campaigning for the flag bearer. He made that statement in his statement. When you tie in all these, you know, all these ropes together, what do you make of, you know, the current happening?
The party decided. Clearly, MPP is presenting an interesting case. When they settled for the top-down approach to reorganizing their party, we drew their attention to the potential problems that they could encounter in that direction. Now, as we speak on this platform, neither the General Secretary nor the elected flag bearer of the party has given an indication to us as Ghanaians when reorganization will start from the branches. No one is talking about it. No one. I mean, no. So we are finished with the flag bearer elections. Now you see the drift, because when you elect a flag bearer, the next consequential thing is to find a running mate. So you see, everybody is drifting towards the running mate. When are we taking a running mate? Nobody so far is talking about the reorganization of the party at the grassroots. And we drew their attention to that. Now, again, because it's a top-down approach, then you see, I mean, if you watch closely, the confusion and the reorganization and the movement and alignment appears even now as we speak to be at the top. So people are thinking that the person who has come next for the sake of unity of the party should be made a running mate. So I was saying that, well, that is coming second in the contest is not a reward for the position of a running mate. Now, some are saying, well, the post should be maintained because it's a ticket, and they did very well. No one is talking about even when the constituency executives will be elected, when the regional executives will be elected, when even the current national executives will be elected. Their mandate has long expired. Long expired. But they are there. So the party is facing a major hurdle. The second problem I've seen since the election of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is that from Saturday to now, I have not seen an official communique from Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia thanking the electorate and his party for the honor done him, and espousing his vision going forward. I have not yet seen it. So it appears to me that they are in a celebratory mood. Everybody wears a white kaftan and they are going to, as if he has won a national election. That's what I see. People trooping to his house to congratulate him for winning the flag bearership of their party, albeit with a diminished margin. When you look at the history of the MPP and their contests, anytime a candidate is contesting the second time, his votes appreciate. With regards to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, his votes have depreciated. What does it mean going forward? Again, when you look at the depreciation, you'll be left in no doubt, or you'll be shocked to realize that about 85,000 MPP delegates do not believe in the leadership qualities of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. 85, and that is statistically important. What does it mean for the unity of the party? That you can go to elect a flag bearer, and this whooping number of people who hold positions in your party do not believe in the leadership of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So there's work to be done. Now, and that is made even more pronounced and Afenyumakin. Two very powerful people, former deputy finance minister, doesn't believe that Bawumia is otherwise the right person to lead the party. And Afenyumakin doesn't believe. The Bawumia performed disastrously in his constituency, and that should tell you a lot. But that is position, unless of course it's lying. Like Nana Akufo-Addo. I mean, if they are expecting Nana Akufo-Addo to behave, Bawumia to behave like Nana Akufo-Addo, well, I can understand. That was a vice president. Because it was only during the time of Nana Akufo-Addo that dissent was dealt with so viciously that the party chairman was even suspended. That the party chairman was even suspended. The general secretary was suspended. A first vice secretary was suspended. A first vice chairman was suspended because of dissent. So if that is what the route they are going to pursue, it left Bawumia. But I'm watching the party, and I see that this party, to reorganize, to regroup, might be difficult than meet the eye, more difficult than meet the eye. Because you see, and Mr. Kosiprat knows, Mr. Philip London knows as well. I know maybe you will also remember. In 1992, when we were going democratic, the Electoral Commission had interpreted the Constitution to suggest that we should do the presidential elections in November and the parliamentary elections in December. Nobody had problems with that. So MPP participated in the presidential elections in November. Their flag bearer and presidential candidate was Adu Buahin. He lost. When he lost, MPP boycotted the parliamentary elections. Their main concern being that having elected the president ahead of time, it stood to reason that all the votes that parliamentary candidates will garner will be heavily influenced by a presidential candidate that has already been, a president that has already been elected. The people will want, and when you look at Article 58 of the Constitution, which vests executive authority in the president, people will want to work with an executive president, and so they will vote for candidates who can align with the executive president. That was their main bone of contention, and so they boycotted the parliamentary elections and insisted that subsequent elections must bring the presidential elections to parliament and parliamentary elections. So a reinterpretation of the Constitution had to be done. Now, so again, a matter of principle, MPP have gone round, and they have now come round to violate the old principle. When they were thinking of doing a top-down approach, I don't know whether they were not reminded that it was a matter of principle that they boycotted the two elections. Because now you have elected a flag bearer. And that is why people are saying that people who don't align with the flag bearer must be removed. Again, it will go to the constituencies. People are already talking about Stephen Amua, that he might lose his seat because he was seen to be decisively against Bawumia. So, having elected their flag bearer, it will stand to reason that the constituencies will behave in the way that MPP envisaged in 1992 and elect parliamentary candidates who will align the flag bearer. Is that it? And other officers who will align with the flag bearer. So you see, the party is in dire straits. And this is why we were warning. But they wouldn't take advice. They believe that they are the masters of intelligence. And we are not seeing the end yet. You didn't see the picture of Samira Bawumia eyeing Afenyoake. This one was a picture. Because
that might be an old picture.
Sure.
The way he has responded, he has seen the picture. So clearly, I don't know what they will do. Because Musa Danko's polls suggest that the last polls they conducted on leadership of parliament, Afenyoake scored very, very low. So, will the removal of Afenyoake be because of the perception that he's non-performing, or because he didn't support Mahmoud Bawumia? We won't know. So there are problems, and people have argued, and I believe that those who argue that way have some sympathy from me, that probably what they need to do is to let the matter settle for some time before they begin taking action. But I'm waiting to see Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia organize a presser or issue a statement congratulating the delegates for reposing their trust in him and giving him a mandate to lead their party at this difficult time, and assuring them that he will lead, in the words of Nana Akufo-Addo, with clarity and purpose. Thank you.
You know, just that's the point to me.
How can a whole minority leader, all the members of the minority caucus, are going to the residence of the flag bearer to congratulate him in their white kaftan? Then the minority leader is doing parliamentary business and he's not even aware that there's a thing like that going on. To the extent that in the course of the press conference live, he finds out that his people have all gone to, so he has to leave.
Abandon it.
It is so it is embarrassing to the person, the individual. It's embarrassing to the party. And you see, Ghanaians are watching all these things.
But you are even failing to see one thing.
Oh,
They are meeting their decision to go to the flag bearer's house and congratulation was taken earlier.
yes.
And the dress code had been prescribed.
Yes. Yeah, but that's the point I'm making. That's the point I'm making.
And so
that's the point I'm making.
was not communicated.
That is the point I'm making.
So that's why he was in the black suit.
It was clear. You see, it was probably even designed to, because even when you go to the function, you yourself will be standing out. You see, that's what I'm saying. You see, these are all the factors, and when these signs start coming out, I mean, what message are you sending? Look, have your internal disagreements, and that was the hallmark of the party. Have your internal disagreements, but once you come together, at least give the impression that
You are together.
anyway.
Well, first of all, let me say that an absolutely useless campaign has begun in the New Patriotic Party. A campaign which would only, worry their presidential candidate-elect and sow seeds of division and confusion. A campaign which really adds nothing to the New Patriotic Party. And I see it this morning in a number of newspapers, and it's the same story, same language, same style, same words, and everything. So obviously this story has been syndicated. Now, when stories are syndicated, it just means that somebody is paying for it or is influencing the publication of the story. And I like to read the story. I like to read the story before I do the serious analysis. The story says, within days of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's emphatic victory in the NPP presidential primaries, a quiet but firm message has begun circulating within the party circles. The ticket is settled. As speculation intensifies over who will partner the flag bearer into the 2028 general elections, signals from the Dr. Bawumia camp and growing sentiment within the party base suggest that Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh remains the preferred choice and that aggressive lobbying from rival camps is unwelcome. I hope you are listening very carefully. Party insiders say Dr. Bawumia is keenly aware of the lessons from recent political cycles, SYCYCL cycles, where prolonged internal horse trading over running mates weakened momentum and created unnecessary factions. This time the thinking is different. The flag bearers camp appears determined to project calm authority and decisiveness, choosing continuity over distraction. For many within the party, the push by lobbyists to reopen the running mate conversation so soon after the primaries is being viewed as premature and counterproductive. The party has just spoken loudly through the primaries, a senior grassroots organizer remarked. This is not the time for ambition-driven maneuvering. Dr. Bawumia's landslide win has been widely interpreted as an endorsement of his leadership style, measured, policy-driven, and disciplined, and so on and so on. If you have time, read the story. The most significant thing in this story is that there's no attribution. The person who wrote the story is not identified. The people speaking in the story are not known. What is this? So who are the people who are saying the things in the story? Nobody. So this is a phantom story. Phantom. It's a phantom creation. Nothing in it. Okay? But what this does is that it brings back the question of why did Dr. Bawumia lose the last elections, and whether or not the party is focused on correcting past mistakes. Okay? Now, Dr. Bawumia has been re-elected as a flag bearer. No change from the last elections. The so-called lobby, party grassroots, we don't know whether it's true. They are not even mentioned. Okay, so you don't know. But that so-called community is also insisting that the same running mate which was chosen for the last election, which the party lost so miserably, should be brought back. What other things are they bringing back from that election that they lost? You understand what I'm saying? So if everything will be the same, how can they ever hope to win an election? That's a critical question. The other most important thing, the next election, if NPP is to win the next election, what are the things that are likely to make the NPP win the next election? One, at the very minimum, the Mahama administration must do worse than the NPP did for NPP to come back to power.
Yes.
Okay? If you take all the key indicators, today inflation is less than 4%. The Mahama administration must move from an inflation which is less than 4% to an inflation which is in the 20s and hitting the 30% for NPP to come back, if we use inflation as the indicator. If you use the value of the currency as an indicator, the Mahama administration must take the CD back to 17 cedis per dollar for NPP to come back to power. If you use the price of petroleum products, oh my goodness. Do you see the problem? So, what is it that the NPP would do today and say today which will convince us that in 2028 and beyond, it can do better than the Mahama administration is doing? These are the critical questions. You see, elections are about the aspirations of the people, the needs of the people. Elections ought to be about how people's access to food can improve. Food, kenke and fish. And pesie and so on. People's access to food, how it can improve. That's what elections should be about. Elections should be about people's access to education and the quality of education. Elections should be about how do we maintain the democratic ethos in the country and so on. These are the issues, not Napo. So the focus is misguided, completely misguided. Look, this morning I'm reading one of the newspapers again, and Kojo Nkrumah has spoken. And his take is that winning back Ghanaians' trust is the bigger battle now. This is Kojo Nkrumah, an NPP man. Says that to win back the trust of Ghana is the biggest. It's not about all the things that they are saying. It's not about repeating everything that they did in 2004, which led to this disaster. Look, this is the third worst election result in the history of Ghana. The worst. In the history of Ghana. Third worst election result in the history of Ghana. So, they should do something more serious than what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, what they're putting in the newspapers and so on. It doesn't excite anybody. What is it that the Mahama administration is doing today which they can do better? But they have a credibility gap. Because if they come today and they say that this is what the Muhammad administration is doing today and that we can do it better, the question is, so in the 8 years that just passed, why didn't you do the better things that you wanted to do? So there's a huge problem that the party has to face and address. Look, there are some indicators which need to be examined properly. And I've done some of it, you know. You see, we are being told that all the other four aspirants have thrown their full weight behind Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Is that true? Check the statements of endorsement that they made. If you take Kennedy Akompreko Japan, Japan, what statement did he make? He said, look, my supporters, don't say that without Ken, no vote. Don't say that. Because if I had won, I wouldn't have expected you to say that and so on. Huh? In any case, in whatever you do now, don't forget that it's not over yet. There are 3 more years ahead of us. And that anything can happen within the 3 years. What does that mean? What does that mean? It can mean so many things. One of the possible interpretations is that, oh, I may even be chosen as the running mate. And therefore, you may be compelled to vote for the ticket. The other indication is that the flag bearer may become incapacitated to the extent that he may not be able to run. And the party may have to choose a new flag bearer, and it could be me. As for other things, I can't say. I won't open my mouth to say them, to bring opprobrium on everybody. But the other possibilities, you understand? So it is not a blanket unconditional endorsement of the candidates. Okay? Now, if you watch the polls, especially Global Info Analytics, which was correct. I mean, its prediction was correct and so on. It's made other predictions. In December, he conducted a poll and pitched Bawumia against what Global Info Analytics thinks could become alternative candidates from the NDC. All the alternative candidates from the NDC, according to Global Info Analytics, which today is reliable, beat Dr. Bawumia. In fact, the worst performing possible candidate of the NDC, according to that survey, was my very good friend, the chief of staff. And even him, he beat Bawumia. He got 50%, Bawumia got 43% or thereabout. So this is something the party must be thinking about. Today, they themselves say that Global Info Analytics was correct. If he was correct, and if over the years it's been proven to be the most credible, then his predictions about pitching Bawumia and other candidates of the NDC ought to be taken seriously. Ought to be taken very, very seriously. Not just that. In the last elections, primary elections in the NPP, contest for flag bearership, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia got 61-point-something%. This time, how much did he get? So it shows that even within the New Patriotic Party, the confidence in him has dropped. Has not appreciated. It has dropped. What does that mean for the next elections? And you see, the incentive to vote in this primary, and my brother spoke about it. So don't make a mistake and think that all those who went and voted in this primary went and voted because they were enthused about selecting a presidential candidate. On that day, you saw them on camera saying that they are waiting for the money. Okay? Now, even people who were not members of the party, if they had a chance to go and collect the money, they would have gone and collected the money. You understand? So all of these are factors that we have to put, you know. Now, the contest within the New Patriotic Party is not over yet. There has to be a contest for polling station officers of the party. That contest is going to be interesting. is Dr. Bawumia going to support candidates? And if he's going to support candidates, are there people who will sponsor other candidates against his candidates? That will be a test of the party's unity. If he's not going to support any candidates, is he going to allow a free range, which most likely will bring up officers who may not necessarily agree with him? That is the challenge. From there, they are going to go to the constituency level and elect officers. The same questions arise. Then they move to the regional level and elect officers. It is just possible that by the end of the exercise, the decision makers in the NPP will not be the same decision makers who chose him as flag bearer. How does he manage such a situation? How does he manage such a situation? You understand?
Yeah.
I think I know Dr. Bawumia somehow. I think so. I've had conversations with him before and so on. And I believe honestly that he's not a vindictive person who is going to go after those who did not campaign for him and who did not vote for him. He won't do that. I know that as a fact. Okay?
He himself, he won't.
But that's the point I'm making. But he's not the only person, he's not the only Charlie in the game. There are so many Charlies in the game. So Dr. Bawumia may decide that I forgive him. He campaigned against him vigorously, went against the minorities' decisions and so on. He has forgiven him. But what about the hawks around him? Would they forgive Afenyomakin? In fact, even before the primaries, there were suggestions that there were one or two people who were not happy with Afenyomakin's leadership. And indeed, proper public opinion surveys have also shown that even within the party, his ranking is going down. People don't trust him that much. How is Dr. Bawumia going to handle all of this? Dr. Bawumia himself has claimed, and some believe him, that he was not in charge, that decisions were taken over his head, that even economic and financial decisions and so on, they did not involve him in making those decisions. Is it true? Maybe it's true. Okay? Now, if those claims were true, it would mean that there were some people who obstructed him as vice president. What is going to be his relationship with those who obstructed him and gave him a bad name, made him the fall guy for the mistakes of the Akufo-Addo administration? How is he going to manage that situation? So it's a very complex situation. It's not an easy situation. It's so very complex a situation, and it needs an extraordinary leader to manage this situation.
All right, okay, so that was it on the part of the NPP. We want to touch on something that, has gone viral and controversies all over the place. The intent of government to rename the Kotoka International Airport. In fact, the original name was Accra International Airport. Following the attempt by the then government, the National Liberation Council, in 1967 to rename the Accra International Airport after Kotoka, who was the focal person for that coup. The controversy has received some heightened, intents and connotations. I listened to the minority leader, Afenyomakin, following the announcement by the majority leader of intent of government to bring a bill to have the name, changed. He indicated that, and in fact, called on Voltarians to reject the attempt by government to rename the Kotoka International Airport. Who, in fact, is calling on Voltarians and the voter caucus in Parliament to reject the attempt by government. I want to start with you, Honorable, on this. You've been in legislation before. Where do we stand in this context? The renaming, the call, by this gentleman and in fact others to have their decision, rejected.
So the National Development Planning Commission,
the commissioner, the water
commissioner, that what role did Volta region play, or what's in the naming of the airport as Kotoka International Airport? What role did they play? Or what significant achievement did Kotoka chalk that entitled him to be named after the airport? What is it? You see, sometimes we must be serious as a country, and being serious means that we must see things in the 97. He fell in the counter coup. So during that counter coup, he fell there at the Kotoka International Airport, and these military officers, you call it military officers, decided that they would name that airport after him. I think it was Afrifa who did that. Or yes, that's all. That is his claim. I don't know where Odate Lamte fell at the Brokasa, Nima police station. And so probably the Nima roundabout should be named after Odate Lamte. Okay, he fell there during the coup. That is his only claim. That he attempted, there was a counter coup, he fell there, and they named it after him. And then we're saying that, look, it doesn't align with our values. I mean, every day you think about what has happened to this country, bones of those who toppled Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and subjected them to trial, you will do that. Because we're on a trajectory of development. There was a leader, a prime minister, who had a vision for this country. Even in our limitations, as a newly independent country, with the necessary human resource, he built a lot of. In fact, Ghana today is running on the achievements of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. I mean, is it the Takoradi Harbour? Is it the Tema Harbour? Is it even the international airport? His vision was far ahead of his time. Today we are thinking of building storage facilities to store in the 1960s. And so he established a company called Ghana Food Company. So what are we talking about? But why? Well, we don't read. Consequent upon the killing of the American black, what was his name? I mean, monuments were brought down. Even Harvard. We just got down from the plane one day and saw that the airport, international airport, Tawara International Airport had been changed to Yakubu Tele International Airport. Was there a press conference? And even entreaties by the Yana to change it fell on deaf ears. I mean, so sometimes these things, just do it. And argue in Parliament that this is intended to be in sync with our values and our identity as a thriving democratic country, and we don't intend to reward people who had taken a role in destabilizing this country.
Yes, first of all, I have often very against changing names, especially when the names have been there for a long time and we've gotten used to them. I have not been in favor. So that has been a fundamental principle. That's why in those days, when there was a campaign to change the University of Ghana to Dankwa University, and I went and opened my small mouth and said that I was against it. The problems just added more to my problems. But you see, let's go back to what Alaji was reminding us. Kwame Nkrumah was moving Ghana to another level. We had Accra International Airport, and an expansion project was started. He said, we are going to receive jumbo jets. We hadn't had jumbo jets at that time, but they said jumbo jets will be coming. So they were going to build this world-class airport. So it has started. Now, that area was bush. In the counter coup that came, Kotoka's body, the reports indicate, was found somewhere in the bush. Then, which also happened to be close to the construction site of this new. So, when the airport was completed, a statue was erected at the spot where they said Kotoka's body was found. And the airport was named Kotoka International Airport. Changed from Accra to Kotoka. We've had it over the years. This discussion has gone on over the years. Now, when Ghana was celebrating Ghana at 50, it was not just a celebration of Ghana's independence, but it was a celebration of Ghana's role in the emancipation of the. So now came the question that, so why are Ghanaians, people coming all the way to celebrate Kwame Nkrumah, who led Ghana into independence and inspired all other African countries into independence, and they are coming through Kotoka Airport, the man who overthrew Kwame Nkrumah. So now a lot of people said, no, this name should be changed like that today. Now,
but the statue of Kotoka mysteriously vanished from the airport.
Yes.
also because the airport was also being further expanded, and the statue vanished. Now, where we are today now, there's a renaissance in Ghana, where even from the days when an MPP party was in power under President Kufuor, Ghanaians have come to appreciate that, look, Kwame Nkrumah, we have been unfair to Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
Yeah.
The same way we have been unfair to Dr. Hila Liman. You see? And that we need to get Kwame Nkrumah back to his proper place in our history. Because there was an attempt to rewrite the history of our country and remove the stature of Nkrumah in our history. So now comes back the discussion. How can we have Kotoka's name as the head of as Kotoka Airport when we treasure Kwame Nkrumah so much? But you see, there's another thing, and that is what I'm comfortable with about the conversation that we're having now about the name of the airport. The press conference of the minority and other communications that are coming up. You see, it's beginning to whip up certain sentiments that we don't need. Whether he was from Volta region or he was an Ewe or he was. You see, we don't need those conversations in Ghana. We don't need it.
But they're extremely foolish.
Yeah, so I would wish, and that is why I personally would have wished that we live with the name Kotoka Airport. Hey, I would wish that because even changing the names won't cost the country a lot of money and a lot of international implications in terms of world travel and all that. So left to me alone, I would have wished the name is not changed and we maintain it. Yes, it is a matter of history, and it's a matter of fact. It has happened, it is past, we've lived with it, we're moving forward. It is also bringing up another conversation, which is in the rumor mill, and that is what I'm not comfortable about the conversations that we're having now. It is alleged that Kotoka came and said that we were told Kwame Nkrumah was corrupt. We have investigated the man, we've tried the man, we haven't seen any corruption. In fact, the more we investigate, the more we see that the man was not even corrupt. And the man has done so much for Ghana. Maybe we should even allow the man to come back home, because at the end of the day, Kotoka once said this thing, which has fed into the theories and the suspicions and all kinds of things, that maybe even that counter coup was another way of trying to get rid of Kotoka because his colleagues were not happy with it. It is in the rumor mill. It has been in this country for a long time. It has haunted this country. To the extent that even 79, what happened, that dastardly action that happened in 79, there were the same rumor mill too fed from some of these things. We don't need it. Left to me alone, let's leave the name Kotoka Airport. Let's leave it. And let's move on. Are we going to start changing the name Rollins Park? Hasn't Rollins committed his own sins? I mean, so in my personal view, which I stand for, is that let us save ourselves all this wahala. Let us stop whipping up, these sentiments. Yes, Kwame Nkrumah, Kotoka did, but for me personally, I would wish we would have left it. It would be nice to have it Kwame Nkrumah International Airport. Many Africans come to Ghana and they wonder why in their countries Kwame Nkrumah is being held in such high esteem. There are massive monuments for Kwame Nkrumah and we don't see them. Rather, in Ghana in the last few years, all those monuments for which we remember Kwame Nkrumah have been dismantled. The Trade Fair site, the Temamoto Way, everything has been dismantled. Yes, it is true. But on the issue of Kotoka Airport, left to me, I would have thought that we should save ourselves the argument.
Comrades.
Well, you see, unfortunately, as I said somewhere else, the discussion in Ghana, especially about our history and politics, has been reduced to theater, has been reduced to nonsensical theater. That's our problem. Because how on earth can anybody say that Kotoka in any way is a symbol of the values of the Volta region or Evers, and therefore if you touch Kotoka, you have touched Evers and the Volta region? You must be completely ignorant of our history. When the 1966 coup occurred, one of the families who suffered most as a result of the coup d'etat, the Fiawo family. Just being a Fiawo meant that we would suffer hell, because Fiawo was one of the keenest supporters of the Nkrumah government in the Keta area. So all his family members were subjected to undignified treatment and so on. You understand? Now, the Fiawo family, are they not Evers? Didn't they suffer? Reverend Goka, who was a key member of the Nkrumah family, was he not Ever? Did he not suffer as a result of the 1966 coup? Indeed, Apollo 568, I think, Apollo 568, who initiated the action, because after the coup, and leading on to the Buzia government, every Ever in the public service as well was seen as an enemy. Salah, who went to court on Apollo 568, was he Ashanti? Was he an Nzema? He was Ever. In fact, the presidential guard at the Flagstaff House, under the command of General Bauer, resisted the coup. Weren't Evers killed in that fighting? So how can anybody who knows history wake up one morning and make a most ignorant and stupid statement? Like, if you touch Kotoka, you touch Evers. No foundation, no historical foundation, no logical foundation. What did he do for Volta region? What did he do for Volta region? In any case, me, I'm not talking about rumor, as my brother here made reference to.
Wants to put it.
I'm talking about fact. Many of the people who took part in the coup regretted sooner than later.
Yeah, they were just used.
And I'm not talking about rumor.
Yeah.
I interviewed A.K. Deku, who eventually became chairman of the Council of Elders of the New Patriotic Party. That interview is available on YouTube now. A.K. Deku, from his own mouth, said that Nkrumah, and A.K. Deku is also from the Volta region, and is Ever.
Yes.
said that Nkrumah is the best president Africa has produced. So I asked him, I said, in that case, why did you participate in the coup which overthrew him? He said his life was at stake. And that he knew from the beginning that if he didn't participate in it, the conspirators were going to kill him. This is AK the coup. This is not rumor. This is fact. It's there. You understand? So AK the coup, was he not an ever? Was he not in the NPP and so on? People should stop wasting our time with such reckless tribal bigotry. Now, one of the persons who has come up to support the change in name is Kodu-Oppong Nkrumah, NPP member of parliament. He has come out to support the change. What is Kodu-Oppong Nkrumah saying? He's saying that, look, everywhere you go, if you are flying to Accra or flying out of Accra, the name Kotoka International Airport is what is being marketed today. Kotoka International Airport, you know. Why? That for the promotion of tourism and for people to understand our country and so on, it is necessary to change it back to Accra International Airport so that Accra is the commodity which is being marketed and not Kotoka. In any case, I've heard all kinds of arguments and we don't have enough time, so I'm going to end very soon. Just make this point and end on that. There's a lot more to say. You see, there are some who have said that, oh, the airport should national sovereignty of Ghana. It was a foreign-inspired, foreign-organized, and foreign-paid-for coup d'etat. And the declassified documents of the CIA say it all. Indeed, now, there's a book. It's titled The Great Deception, How the CIA Overthrew Nkrumah. Everything is there. If you read Philip Agee, if you read John Stockwell, if you read Jack Mahoney and so on, it is clear that that coup was organized by the Central Intelligence Agency of the United States of America. We cannot glorify an attack on our national sovereignty. That's the point. Number one. Number two, by the time the coup occurred, the Nkrumah government has set up liberation camps in Ghana, training the nationalist fighters in ANC, South Africa, from Mozambique and so on, to go back and liberate their countries from colonialism. The perpetrators of 1966 coup, Kotoka and others, bombed those camps, arrested the guerrillas in those camps, and sent them back to the colonialists to be tried, and some were killed.
Yeah.
Is this what you want to glorify?
For what reason?
Is this what you want to glorify? I am 155% in favor of changing the name. That name is an aberration. But I'm also completely dissatisfied with the reasons given by the majority leader in parliament for changing the name. Indeed, the majority leader and the minority are on the same level. What did he say? That we should change the name back to Accra International Airport, because it is the people of Accra who gave the land for building the airport. And that, by implication, if you don't agree to the change of name, you are attacking gas. What kind of reasoning is that? How different is it from Afinomaki? How different is it from Afinomaki? It's a pity we don't have enough time. But
Thank you for making it short for us.
He's very lucky.
I'd love to read some of our messages before we rise. You think Mahama is lucky, eh? Mahama is lucky. All right, so let me read messages on our Facebook page. This one is from David Asante, and he writes, "Good morning. Cocoa farmers are facing big problem. We've not addressed that, but I'll read it. Facing big problem about the purchase of produce. If the solution is a reduction in the price of, please, I'm not getting the head and tail of it. Lilian Akusua Bediaku writes, Iradi Yesu, NPP, what was the reason for cancelling June 4th? NPP, this is President JM, Dr. Nkrumah's Ghana. You can relocate if you want. All right, okay. Alhaji Mashoud, good morning, Pan African TV. The Dr. Baumia we know is no big deal for the NDC. Any candidate the NDC presents is capable of beating Bawumia in the 2028 general elections. Alaji, it looks like people have been riding on this explanation, this excuse that anybody NDC brings, Bawumia will beat him. Are you not overconfident?
No, that is not the case.
Alaji.
No, that's not the case. What you wanted to say was that anybody the NDC brings will
Yeah.
beat Bawumia. That's what you wanted to say. And look at how
No,
you said
because
it.
that's what the reading seems to indicate. And I'm only
So
asking.
how is he overconfident? If it's the other way around.
All right, John Kwande Kwao says the only people who benefited from the coup were the NPP. Look at their posture and you will understand. Ken William, good morning, say renaming Kotoka International Airport is long overdue because it's sinful to name an airport after a coup maker. It's hypocritical for NPP to criticize the renaming of Kotoka after renaming Kotoka, after renaming several institutions like the Tamale Airport and the Kumasi International Airport. Felix Baby writes, Uncle Percy Pratt, always a delight watching you on Good Morning Africa on Pan-African television. All right, let me do a couple on WhatsApp.
Oh, Master, we should go.
There are a lot of messages. Okay, let me just do one with your kind permission. The NDC's decision to require government appointees who wish to contest for party positions